Hello and welcome in, y'all. We got the One Piece post-game show for chapter 1137, full spoilers. So we're gonna be going down the comment section, reading a couple, talking about them, and all that good stuff. I just want to see what we're all theorizing about and what we are the most hyped about. So that being said, let's get into it. This Gunko character is 100% an Usopp opponent, a woman with a bratty personality and a seemingly unbeatable power, just like Perona and Sugar. I love the Perona mention, man, my favorite character. So, Usopp fighting Gunko. I'm gonna be honest, I don't see it yet, mainly because Gunko does not seem compatible with the way Usopp fights. Right, Usopp is a long-distance, mid-distance sniper. Gunko is like a straight beat-em-up. Like, you could put Gunko in Street Fighter and she would fit right in. Hell, replace Jury with Gunko and it would make sense. So with that being the case, I don't think it's gonna be an Usopp opponent. And you brought up Perona and Sugar, which I think are great examples. But the problem with Perona and Sugar is that I consider both of them gimmick battles. Sugar has a one-hit, one-kill ability. Well, technically it doesn't kill you, it just turns you into a toy. But the minute she touches you, you're done, right? Usopp being a long-range sniper could get around that. And then plus, it only took one hit, you know, all he did was scare her, and then that put her down. And then as far as Perona goes, she's also a gimmick battle, because one, Usopp could combat it because he was super negative, so the Horo Horo no Mi did not work on him, and two, she hid her real body in her bedroom, and then all Usopp had to do was pretend to hit her with the hammer, and then she was KO'd, right? I don't think Gunko is going to be the same way. I feel like she is going to be durable. I would consider it more like a page 1 type character or ulti, or maybe like a good mix, right, honestly. So I don't think Usopp's gonna fight her, but I do think that Usopp will get a fight on this island. And it doesn't have to be Gunko or Shamrock, because Shamrock at the end of the chapter said, hey, contact Marie-Joie, we're gonna change our strategy, but they still want to take over Elbaph and get the giants on the world government side. So there is a good chance that a different character could come to Elbaph and Usopp could fight them. I would love it if Usopp could beat somebody like Gunko, but right now I just don't see it, right? Usopp has not had any notable upgrades in the past like 400 chapters. I mean, the last thing we saw with Usopp was him unlocking observation Haki back in Dressrosa, and then that was pretty much it. You know, unless Usopp gets like a crazy, you know, Mjolnir hammer like people theorize, or some new devil fruit or something in his arsenal, I just don't see the Gunko win right yet. So going down though, next comment says, the arrows sound astonishingly similar to the arrow that attacked Cobra during Sambo's reverie flashback. Yes. So I like this a lot, and I actually went back because of this chapter and watched the episode and read the chapter of the manga, and at no point does it show that it came directly from Imu. It came from the throne and it went down, but we didn't see it connect to him or her, whatever Imu is. So there is a chance that Gunko was right behind the throne or right next to Imu, we just never saw her. But that's a weird one, right? Because it could still be an Imu attack, or it could just be an Imu transformation even. But I do like the idea of Gunko like hiding behind the throne, you know, ready to throw out that arrow the minute somebody says D, which is what Cobra said, right? He said D, and then Imu like winced, and then boom, you got the arrow flying to him. But yeah, I don't know. It does look awfully similar though. Like there's gotta be some connection there. I also think it would be really cool if Imu just had all the abilities of the Gorosei and Holy Knights like combined. I also think that'd be pretty damn sick. So right below here, I already responded to this one. This one, whew, man, I saw this comment and it haunted me for a solid 2 hours. You know, I try not to read the comments for videos that I'm going to respond to in a video format like this, but this one, it really got me. Like, I looked at my phone and I said, no, don't speak this into existence. They say it would be funny. Not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. If Shamrock isn't as strong as Shanks, that's already foul, but it gets even worse. And he runs into Kid and gets folded. So I'm not a Kid hater. I don't subscribe to Kid is dead. I don't subscribe to Kid is lame or Kid is weak. I don't. I've actually made 3 separate videos saying that Kid will come back and that he will get stronger. I don't think he's gonna be Pirate King. You know, I don't think he's gonna get road poneglyphs, but I do believe that kid will come back. You know, I mean, Whitebeard's a great example. I mean, that's a bad example because Whitebeard's the world's strongest guy. But Whitebeard, you know, he lost to Roger. You know, he gave up on the race and he's just chilling. He's just a pirate. He's chilling. I think Kid's gonna be the same way. But with that being said, I do not want Kid to beat Shamrocks. I would love if they ran into each other because the interaction would be hilarious, right? Kid runs into Shamrock and he's like, hey, another red-haired guy? A guy that looks like Shanks? Oh, dude, he would lose his mind. I would love to see it, but I don't want him to win because I want to believe that Shamrock will be either a Luffy opponent, you know, that's third on the list, a Luffy opponent, a Shanks opponent, or even better, people have been talking about it, a Mihawk opponent. Kid's not on the list. Kid's like maybe number 5 on my list. You know, I'd probably put one more person in between. I just have to give it more thought. But, dude, Shanks and Mihawk, think about it. Throughout the whole story, who are they going to go extreme diff with before they get beaten? I would love it if it's Shamrock. I would. Because if it's Shanks versus Shamrock, they could have so much brotherly banter, right? Ah, celestial dragon scum. Ah, you poor pirate. And then you have Mihawk versus Shamrock, and Mihawk could hit him with a cold one-liner. You know, he could put Shamrock in his place and be like, hey, you're nothing like your brother, and he has one arm. Oh, man, the shit talk that could come out of that confrontation, immaculate. And then for Luffy, of course, you know, Luffy knows Shanks, the mentor, his inspiration. Again, the mess talk would go pretty dang hard. So I just think that there's a lot better potential routes than Shamrock versus Kid. I would like it, I wouldn't hate it, but I just do think that Shamrock has the potential to make other characters even better. Aside from Kid. Oh man, that was a long-winded one, but like I said, this put the fear of God in me. This is almost as scary as the idea that the Revolutionary Army or the Straw Hat Grand Fleet will fight the God Knights. That put the fear of God in me a while back, but, you know, now that we've seen what they're all about, or at least 2 of them, I'm confident that the Grand Fleet can't beat them. And as far as the Revs go, I don't mind if Sabo or Dragon gets a fight, but I just can't imagine like a big God Knight battle with Bello Betty, Lindbergh, you know, Karasu. Well, Karasu's cool, actually. I like Karasu. Or Morley, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm really biased when it comes to characters I like. Like, I wouldn't get upset if any of that happened. You know, I'm pretty acceptable when it comes to a lot of One Piece situations. But I do have, like, my own personal things that I want, right? I got my own desires, guys. Please give it to somebody else. This says, Loki's insane Haki feat. He was blinded and chained with sea stone, yet managed to foresee the entire fight. Yes, I didn't really mention that in this video because I was really on the fence, right? We didn't have the images yet. We only had the description of the spoilers. So based off of that, I didn't know if Loki had future sight or if Gunko simply showed him what she was going to do, like telegraphed it, right? Because she has these arrow abilities. And we saw it in this chapter where she threw an arrow that pointed this way, and then she threw an arrow that went upwards, and then Loki was like, oh, so you're gonna hit me on my cheek, and then you're gonna uppercut me, which is exactly what happened later when Loki turned her down. So it's like, okay, is that future sight, or did he simply just see the arrows and was like, okay, like, I know what she's gonna do? So that's why I didn't really mention it here. You know, it doesn't help that she telegraphed all of her attacks, but Loki having insane observation Haki, I think it makes sense. I mean, the guy has a 2.4 billion berry bounty. You know, he's a guy where all of Elbaph had to gather together and take him down. You know, Shanks had to put this guy in his place. So if he has future sight, I don't think anybody would really scowl at that, right? So I like it, but I think for this specific scenario, it was really hard for me to say whether he has it or not, just because of the arrows, right? It's like playing a video game, like Final Fantasy 14, for example, or World of Warcraft, or any game that telegraphs attacks. Like, you look on the ground and there's like a red circle. Like, you know an attack's coming there. And that's kind of what Gunko was doing. And then plus she was like, hey, like, I can stop these attacks if you join me too, so. Of course, she was threatening him as well. So there's like layers to it. But like I said, Loki with insane Haki, I like it. I don't think anything's wrong with that. This one says, the way she's using her fruit really reminds me of how Diamante uses his. Diamante in 2025? Oh, I like that guy, dude. You know, honestly, if we ever go to Impel Down and have a breakout, I want to see Diamante again, bro. Come on. Remember how he turned his sword into a bull? Yes, and I remember how silly that was too. Like, out of everything Diamante could have turned his sword into, he picked an iron bull? Come on, Diamante. I get it, right? It's his thematic. He's got the red cape, and he's all about that, but still, it was a little bit silly. But I get what you mean, though. The way Gunko has utilized her arrow no Mi in this chapter does remind me of Diamante, because Diamante was crafty. The Iron Bull, he also had his cape that turned, into a flag, and then it steeled up 1 minute later, and then he also had the thing where, what was it, flower petals? Yeah, it was in the sunflower field. Diamante turned flower petals into steel flag things, and it rained down on Kyros. It's insane utilization. When you think about his devil fruit, it doesn't really make sense how he's able to do all of that, but it's super cool. He is imaginative, and that is exactly how I feel about Gunko, and I love it. And before we knew that Luffy was a mythical Zoan, we thought the same way about Luffy, right? Paramecia, Gumu Gumu no Mi, gear 2nd, gear 3rd, gear 4th, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how imagination really takes a mundane devil fruit to the next level. I think you skipped over Loki having future sight. He predicted everything Gunko was gonna do, and she did it exactly word for word. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah. I didn't mention, I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I was a fence sitter when I made the video. I was a fence sitter. Now that I have the chapter, I'm still kind of a fence sitter, but Loki with insane observation. A1. I wonder if Loki's future... Oh, wow, dude. Loki's future sight is the hot topic, huh? I wonder if his future sight being so amazing has anything to do with him having his eyes covered, or if he's just that guy. Like, I get 2 billion plus bounty, but like, there was enough time for him to say it. Gunko considered it, say things, and then do it. That's like Shanks' future sight, foreseeing Kid just blasting his entire fleet away. People are gonna just not notice that feat, but damn, it's a crazy one. Yeah, I would say so. As far as the first part of this, right? Loki covering his eyes to train his observation Haki. Yeah, that makes sense, right? We've seen Luffy do that with Rayleigh, because back when they were training in Ruskaina, Luffy was blindfolded and Rayleigh had a wooden bat, and he was like hitting his feet, and then he had to dodge an elephant or something, and that is how Luffy trained his observation. So if Loki's doing that same thing here, I think that'd be pretty cool. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, like, I feel like something's going on with his eyes as well. It could be double layered, right? He could be training, but I also feel like his eyes are mysterious, because I forgot what it was. I think it was the 2nd chapter after he was introduced. Oda did this like zoom in on the eyes. Oh, no, it was the 1st chapter. It was the 1st chapter where we saw him. Oda zoomed in on his eyes, and they were kind of glowing through the bandages. I couldn't tell if that's like an artistic thing or if his eyes are special to an extent, which I think would be pretty cool, right? Dude, we're in the final saga, Oda. Give us the Sharingan. I mean, hell, Gunko has crazy eyes too, man. Come on. So right here, they say one major thing I got from the summary about Loki is that he may be training his future. Dude, Loki's future sight, the hot topic. I like it. Since the one who defeated him, Shanks, has the best future sight. Also, it seems Loki will be saved by Luffy because Luffy likes to keep his promises. Yes, the minute Luffy made this promise to Loki, it was set in stone in my opinion. It's not a guarantee that Loki will be on Luffy's side just yet, but it is set in stone that Luffy will free him. Luffy is the type of guy to never forego his promises. I don't think he's foregoed a single one. I'm trying to think. Has Luffy ever broken a promise? I don't think so. At least not yet. The one promise I can see Luffy breaking is Tama joining the crew. Did he make that promise? I think there was a scene where Tama said, hey, I want to grow up and become a Kunoichi, really strong, and then I want to join Luffy. And then I think Luffy said, yeah, bet. Do it. And I feel like Luffy might not do that. I don't know. That's like such a time skip, right? That requires Luffy to be alive like 15 years into the future or something like that. Unless he just joins the Grand Fleet. That's different. But yeah, so as far as Shanks having the best future sight, I agree. Right now, he has the best feats. I feel like there will be people who are better than Shanks in terms of future sight, but right now he is the pinnacle, which I would say this. If this is the reason why Loki's training it, he's got to train something else. Because we saw in volume 4 billion that Shanks actually has the ability to cancel observation Haki. So if he's doing this to one-up Shanks, he needs to switch his tunes, man. He needs to switch his tunes. But granted, though, we have not seen cancellation Haki yet, or cancellation observation Haki yet. That's just something Oda wrote in a book. But of course, we will probably see that in the near future. Now, the next down comment says, Shamrock's goal, being wanting to convert the giants to the world government, is very much like St. Patrick Shamrock in Irish history. Yes, because I believe St. Patrick, I did some research on this beforehand, by the way. So St. Patrick, he wanted to convert many regions to Christianity? Sorry, I could be getting that wrong. It's been a couple of days. The minute we heard Shamrock, I started doing like a little bit of research here and there. But yes, we could totally see that here. And funny enough, my good friend Par actually has a theory going on that the God Knights, Gorosei, and maybe even some other celestial dragon families are based on prominent Christian figures that entered Japan way back when and try to convert them as well, which would be kind of interesting if they all followed that theme, right? They followed the religious theme, which wouldn't be super crazy because in this chapter, at the very end, when Gunko realizes that Loki would not yield, she's like, like, what's with their stubbornness? Is it their faith that takes them that far? I'm like, faith. Interesting wordplay, Gunko. Interesting. This one says, so Gunko's powers are a mix of Medusa's vector arrows and Kirara Hoshi's innate technique, love rendezvous. I effing love it. Such a different ability from everything else in One Piece. So this is JJK. Who's Medusa? Medusa's vector arrows. I don't know Medusa. Medusa vector arrow. Oh, Soul Eater. Yeah, okay, Soul Eater. All right. Yeah, I've never watched Soul Eater. I'm sorry. I watched I think the first 10 episodes a long time ago, but I just never got into it. I love the art style. I love the characters too. You know, I remember back in the day, I used to have a lot of Soul Eater wallpapers. And then after a while, it's like, let me try the anime now. And then I was like, never mind. I missed the period. All it is. But yes, I love that Oda is getting wacky with these powers. I hope he keeps on keeping on. And I hope that the other God Knights are crazy as well. I really do, man. And I hope they're all different too. I hope it's not just like Gunko copy and paste. I want them to all be specialized in something different. Because thinking back to Wano, right? We had what, like a bajillion Zoans? Yeah, we gotta mix it up a little bit, man. We gotta mix it up. We're going down now, and they say, Loki was framed by Jarl. Jarl killed the king and works with the WG. Loki came in as a Jarl, and the God Knights killed the king. This is why Loki stabbed his head, and he isn't dead. He is a secret elder star. A secret elder star. Well, Jarl is the oldest giant, and we do know that giants typically live around 300, 350 years old, so he did surpass the average age. And the reason I bring that up is because the Gorosei are notoriously old. Like Saturn was well over 200, and same with the other Gorosei members. Like, they are old guys, and they're just humans to our knowledge as well. So I could see that. My only problem is Jarl. I do not think that Jarl is a competent character. I could be wrong. I mean, I said the same about the Gorosei until they show up on Egghead, so I could be wrong there. I have seen a lot of my friends say this idea as well, like, oh, Jarl's a bad guy. You know, Jarl is peddling a narrative and nobody can contest him because he's the only survivor. So yeah, I think Jarl does have a part to play, but I think it's because he's incompetent. I think maybe he doesn't know the full picture. Maybe Jarl is telling the truth, but he doesn't know the truth, right? He's telling his truth, I guess is a good way to say it. And I should probably explain it, but the reason why I think Jarl is incompetent is because I don't see him as a powerhouse. And that's because of Jarl, his counterpart, right? Because his counterpart pretty much got two-shot by Big Mom. Like a 6-year-old Big Mom took that guy down. So that's why I don't have a lot of faith in him. And then plus, when it comes to Jarl being stabbed in the head, the sword that's in his head is King Harold's sword. So how did that happen, right? Like, did Loki take King Harold's weapon and then stabbed him in the head or bonked him on the head? Or did King Harold try to stop Jarl? Which I guess could also come back into this, right? Maybe Jarl was trying to kill King Harold, and then King Harold tried to stab him, and then he just survived. I do think Jarl is going to play a really big role here. I think he is flubbing the story really hard, but I don't know. Like, there's so many plot lines, right? The way I'm kind of feeling right now is that maybe King Harold was the one working with the world government, and then Jarl just walked in and then just misread the entire situation. And that might just be because King Harold has such a great image. Bro, like in this chapter, Road would not stop glazing the guy, the greatest warrior. He loved peace, tore out his horns because he, is all about the new era, right? And then we look at the picture of King Harold, And the guy looks like a monster. You know, he does not look like a peace-loving giant. No. He's frowning in the picture. He's got scars on the head. You know, I'm judging a book by its cover, but I think if I had to put the blame on somebody right now, I'd probably put it on King Harold. And then Jarl, I'd also put it on him too, but I think that's just because he doesn't know the story and he's pretty much lying by accident. So this one says, I can definitely see a scenario where Shamrock is being somewhat pushed in the midst of battle, but having to leave before he actually gets serious. Yeah, I think the same way as well. I don't think the God Knights are going to lose here. I feel like they're going to have to retreat for some reason. So now they say, more than likely, they'll need to leave and deal with Blackbeard and whatever he has cooked up. Yeah, I feel the same way. Except I replace Blackbeard with the Revs. Because Dragon, last we saw, he said, hey, the minute the God Knights make a move, we're going, guys. We don't know what that means. You know, that could mean a bajillion things. Like, does he want to fight the God Knights? Does he want to go to Marie-Joie while they're not home? We don't know. But now that the God Knights are here, I do think the Revs are going to make a move. And that might be why Shamrock and the gang leaves Elbaph. Right? Maybe they get a call from the Gorosei, and the Gorosei are like, hey, Shamrock, Monkey D. Dragon is here. And then they're like, okay, guys, teleport out, right? That is kind of where I'm at right now. The reason why I'm saying not dealing with Blackbeard is because Blackbeard is seemingly on the world government side. It's hard to tell. Or I mean, Blackbeard is playing for himself. Like, he's always like the #1 guy in his playbook, but Blackbeard is observing the world government versus Rev situation. And it's just a matter of what side does Blackbeard take right now. And I feel like he will take the world government side simply because he's already attacked the revolutionaries in the past when he went to go attack Baltigo and destroy Dragon's home base. And that's why they're now holed up at Kamabaka Queendom. So now, going down, they say, knowing Oda, I think Loki was actually a chill dude. And the WG came and killed everyone. Then Loki somehow got framed. Ah, that's me too, brother. That's where I'm at. Benji boy, I like the name, by the way. Or the king was selling Elbaf out somehow, and Loki found out. They can both be true. This is where I'm at. But I'm afraid that this is such an obvious answer because, you know, I'm like I said, I believe this, but Oda has a way of going with crazy curveballs. So I'm scared to like full send it, but I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. This one says, we know there are at least 2 other islands with giants. One in the South Blue, where Saul comes from, and another in the West Blue, where San Juan Wolf comes from. Hardin's mom must be from one of those 2 islands. Yes. And I think there's also other subsets as well. Like the Wotan that was in, what was his name? Foxy. Oh my God. Foxy's crew. We had a giant fishman there, like a giant fishman hybrid. It was so odd. I hope that never happens again. Please don't do that. And then we also have the Yeti Cool Brothers, which is another subset of giants too. And we don't know where they hail from, but I like to imagine they have their own villages, which I kind of wish we knew where they were. You know, I wish we actually saw the village and towns where those guys hailed from. But yeah, there's a lot of potential for Hardin's mom, and hopefully we see her. You know, they never said that Hardin's mom is dead, so there is a legitimate chance that we see her later in this arc. Maybe she's up in the heaven world. You know, she's not at the party. We haven't seen her in the sun realm. Maybe she's up in heaven, which would kind of imply that she's dead, huh? At least in real life? Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we see her though, right? Loki's mom is gone, but Hardin's mom is still alive and ready to get pounded. They said Loki is the first to be offered a knight position. So no, Gunko is not a celestial dragon. Did they say that? Okay, let me see. So Gunko says, we're offering you a chance at divinity. Most die squirming in vain, just for the slightest chance to attain such honor. Blah, blah, blah. They attack him a little bit. She says, you could stop this if you want. Will you join the God Knights? He says, you fool. We go down a little bit. And she says one more time, well, will you become a God Knight? And that is it. So she says nothing about him being the first to be offered a God Knight position. But also, we could look at this a different way as well. Even if Loki is the first person to be offered a God Knight position, that could just be the first person outside of their system, right? Because we do know that Mother Carmel, for example, was breeding kids, or not breeding kids, she was grooming kids to become world government operatives. So there is a chance that maybe the Holy Knights or God Knights have the same thing going on, and they just recruit from within. You know, like they could have celestial dragons who are automatically promoted to God Knight, and then they probably have like a crop of kids that they cook up in a lab or in a battlefield, and then they recruit them. Loki might be the first, you know, political or outside Marie-Joie candidate that they've wanted to bring in too. But as far as TCB goes, they say nothing about being the first. Let me just double check that one more time. Yeah. She does not say anything about him being the first person. Wow, now that I look at this chapter, she says, hey, will you join? 3 different times. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I'd get kind of annoyed too. No wonder why they knock Loki out. My goodness. I feel like Loki's distaste for the WG and celestial dragons can be attributed to the combination of cultural values inherited to Elbaf's warrior society, historical grievances between giants and these entities, potential personal encounters with injustice at their hands, including being framed, and possibly hidden knowledge about ancient truth implicating them in atrocities during the history's lost era. His viewpoint reflects a deep-seated hatred for tyranny and oppression embodied by these figures. And yes, another way we could also look at it is that with Loki wanting to be the sun god, he probably doesn't like governments as well. I think that's another easy explanation too, right? He was just born here and he was like, hey, the sun god wouldn't like the WG. Yeah, he'd want to destroy them instead. So yeah, I think Loki could have all of this, but I would also just love it if Loki had a personal run-in with them too. Like maybe he saw celestial dragons and what they did at Syvduck or something, which we now know that Loki has been out and about for about 8 years before he was arrested for King Harold's murder. So yeah, he could have seen a lot out there on the seas, man. He could have seen a lot. This one says, there's an ongoing theme with Future Sight, and I find it odd that Bonnie's attack is called Distorted Future. Let's see how Oda connects the dots. I could see this being an interesting thing as well. But with Bonnie, I feel like Bonnie's distorted future is a little bit different because her distorted future kind of tackles different timelines. Like she had the Nika future, the giant future, and then she also had the Buccaneer future as well. But I don't think that connects the future side. I think that's more just like a devil fruit ability. I could be wrong. But yeah, because when I think about Future Sight, that's just like predicting what's going to happen in the next like 5-10 seconds. Whereas Bonnie kind of just like taps into the multiverse like Doctor Strange. But if there is a connection there, I'd love to see it though. This one says, guys, we're getting the God Knights versus the Straw Hat Crew before GTA 6. Yeah, there's actually no release date still for GTA 6, huh? Man, I would love if the God Knights come here, but I'm just so afraid, man. I don't want Oda to introduce a brand new villain group and then they get bodied in the same arc, man. That'd be so scary. As a villain lover like myself, that'd be scary. Okay, so this one says, holy shit. So, the entire New World was the territory of the giants in the past. What made them lose control over everything and only have control over one island in the present? Emu? Joy Boy? The 20 kings and queens? The ancient weapons. Just when you think you're getting close to the answer, Oda throws more questions in your face. I love it. Another person I want to throw in here is maybe just the sun god, or maybe Elbaph in general, right? Maybe there was somebody like King Harold, you know, King Harold. I'm still really iffy on him, but maybe there's somebody like King Harold in the past, and he was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't rule the entirety of the New World, right? Maybe we shouldn't just subjugate other countries and stuff. Maybe we should just hang back in Elbaph. But yes, Oda is bringing in a lot of questions here, and that's why it's so hard to theorize sometimes. And that's why, like, when you see some of my videos, I talk about like 30 different scenarios, right? We get like one bullet point, and I'm like, hey, it could be this, could be that, could be this. Because in reality, it literally could be. Like, there's so many doors open in One Piece that it's hard to predict what's going to happen next. And now for the final comment, they say, there are still giants with ancient blood on Elbaph. In chapter 1135, one of the giant children on the swing with Luffy and Usopp has horns. That same child can be seen in 1134 playing in the water in the panel showing us the Walrus Academy. Yes, I actually went back and I saw this too. I went back and there is like one kid with curly hair. Not Colin, but just a random giant kid. And he did have horns. There's other kids who have horns, but they're like connected to helmets. But this one seemingly like comes out of his head. So yeah, we got some ancient giant blood still here. I wonder how it works. I guess we could kind of see this kid as like a rare spawn. Like maybe 1 out of 100 kids has the ancient giant horns. But as the bloodline gets more and more diluted, then the chances of horns coming up later are lower and lower. Man, I feel like if a kid was born with ancient giant horns though, I'd train them up as a warrior, bro. Walrus Academy? No, son! You're gonna be a boxer! You're joining the MMA! Yeah, I'd be like something like that, bro. I'd be like a football dad, man. But with that being said though, guys, let me know what you thought about this chapter down below now that it has fully released. And I will catch you guys when chapter 1138 comes out. Thank you for joining me in the post-game show. Crazy, man. 3 chapters in a row. 1136, 1137, and now 1138. 2025. It's looking pretty damn good. But yeah, hopefully you guys are having a good day out there. Take care. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.